What's up? What's up? What's up? Good evening, everybody. Come on in, come on in, come on in. Well, we are finally at the end of the road. Next week is the season finale, honey. I kind of told y'all, I said we're going to get back from Scotland, probably have 2 episodes, and then we're going to jump right into the reunion of it all, okay? Hold on, y'all. I see y'all are already in the comments, honey. Come on in. Come on in, come on in. So we start this episode off. We have Shamea meeting with her attorney about this whole rum situation. She said that the rum people, the contract, they don't really want to do a partnership. They want to make her more of a distributor where they send the product to her. She sells it, makes a profit off of what she sells. And she was like, that's not really what I wanted. I really wanted more of a partnership. But she's going to move ahead with her rum launch anyway. I'm gonna be honest. I think I said this in the beginning when her husband got on that call and basically broke down everything and was asking all the questions that these people didn't necessarily have the answers for. And he told her, look, I'm not really feeling this deal. It's not giving me what I need. I feel like you should have listened to him. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about listening to your gut. I'm all about walking out on faith. However, it wasn't even so much that Gerald was like, no. Gerald met with them. He asked the questions and he didn't like the answers. Now, later on in the episode, when we see Shamea meet back up with the owner, well, her point of contact, the owner's daughter or niece or somebody. She said, well, your attorney put everything in the one contract, and so we're just going through the contract and I guess taking out what they don't like, which is what a negotiation is. Business deals do that back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. So, I mean, that's kind of what happens. You know what I mean? They go back and forth, and then they come up with the final answer, whatever. But I feel like your husband told you, look, we asked the questions, we didn't get the right answers. This isn't a good deal. But Shamea's moving forward. Now, the other thing I don't like, and y'all know, excuse me, I know I'm getting ready to sound like the old lady the old lady sitting under the tree, but y'all know how I feel about this whole everything has to be sex, 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 sex. This whole bum thing where she's getting the women to do cast molds of their butt. And then at her party where she literally, and I know I'm jumping ahead, but I'm going to say this before I forget because it's connected. When you literally made these women do molds of their butt, I thought they were doing molds of their butt because you were going to do something as it relates to the bottle or something. You literally did molds and had them women stand up there while a whole group of people look at molds of their butt and guess which one belonged to the housewife. I'm sorry, y'all. I didn't find that to be cute or entertaining. I didn't, and I'm glad, even though we'll get to that later, even though what it was interrupted for was some bullshit, I'm all here for why I was interrupted, but I didn't get it. So moving right along. Next we have Angela and Charles going on a date with a double date with K. Michelle and her husband. Yeah. I'm sorry. Ooh, I mean, I have done something today, but golly. Let me say something, y'all. I really need K Michelle to go get some therapy. The level of insecurities that this woman has. And I know that Scotty said that a lot of this comes from the comments and stuff that she used to get from people on reality television and things like that. You know, like people talking about her and making comments about her looks and stuff like that. But the fact that she thinks that we, us, the viewers, America, would pay so much attention to her feet that she wore not one pair of socks, but two pair of socks, and then proceeded to talk about how ugly her feet were and how she was never going to let people see her feet. I just want her to get some therapy. I want her to really find some self-love and get some therapy, because it's so not that serious. And I can't say that to somebody who feels that way about themselves, right? I get it that she feels that way about herself, but I really, really want her to get some help, because I really hate to see this. I really hate to see this for her. You know what I'm saying? This new internet is cutthroat. I understand that, Kenneth, but it's not. What I'm saying is people are going to say what they're going to say. I got that. But I want her to have enough self-love that it's not that big of a deal. Like, girl, I ain't worried about what you got to say about my toes. My toes. But what struck me was that Caston didn't know. Excuse me. I mean, they've done a reality show before together, so it's not like they've definitely been around each other. Now, I know some people think that this marriage was a bit, the marriage is what it is, but they have known each other for years. They've been around each other, and they did a whole reality show before. So I don't know. Like, I think for somebody like a K Michelle, and again, from what we have seen, I think it's hard to keep up. I think that she probably I think that she probably goes through these things, these ups and these downs and these, peaks. And I think she just goes round and round and round. Like, I don't think you can keep up with who she really. Oh, you got a problem with your feet today? Okay, that might be something new, because I feel like right. I really believe she has body dysmorphia, and I think that it just goes body part by body part by body part. Maybe 5 years ago, she didn't give a damn about her feet. It wasn't a big deal. You know what I mean? I don't know. But I want her to get to a point where it's not important. After the Pilates situation, and of course it was cute. It was, it was nice and sensual and nice and couples. And I like the fact that they had two real couples and they didn't try to force something there. It seems like something she is really self-conscious about and expressed it. She actually got ahead of something she thought someone might clown her about. Right. I agree with all of that, but I want her to get to a point where she's past it, is all I'm saying. But again, I know that's easier said than done, but I really want her. I really think it's bigger than it's. I really think she does have some. I think she has body. I really do think she has some body dysmorphia. And again, I'm not trying to diagnose anybody, but I really think that when she looks in the mirror, she sees flaws that most of us don't see. But she has to get past that. Like, we might see her feet and not think nothing about her feet. We may not, like, we could probably see a picture of K Michelle's feet and not think it's a big deal, But for her, she sees a flaw. After that, of course, the couples, they're talking and they're talking about Scotland. Have you talked to this person? Have you talked to that person? So they bring up the Shamea of it all. And Angela was like, well, I know that that's your girl, but what she did, that was real messed up, what she did. And K Michelle was like, no, she's my girl, But at the end of the day, like I'm gonna still call my friends out. If I think my friends are wrong, I'm gonna still say that my friends are wrong. I'm not one of those people that, I'm gonna be honest with my friends. And she was like, Angela's like, well, I think you need to talk to her. I'm gonna say this. I think we're at a point now, and we've seen this before on reality television. I mean, we've seen it on all types of shows, whether it's a TV show, a movie, whatever. I think at this point, either you are Team Porsha or you're Team Shamea. Or maybe you're not team either one, but I'm talking about the people that are. I'm talking about the people that are Team Porsha or Team Shamea. And at this point, you feel the way you feel. I can't change your mind. You can't change my mind, right? When it comes to Angela and Shamea, I honestly don't know. I don't know where the fuck this came from. I don't know why Angela is so... Well, I told y'all what I think. Y'all don't agree with what I think, but I told y'all what I think. I really think that it's Porsha being the puppet master in the background. But whatever it is, this is just like Angela really has a hard on for Shamea. Like, I understand Porsha and Shamea. Like, it's very clear where there is. But I don't, not team sick of them. I just don't understand why Angela is so dead set on Shamea being this horrible person. But we're going to get to it when we get to it. I see Kenneth. Me and Kenneth are going to disagree later on in this episode, and that's fine too. Porsha is taking new pictures with her and Pilar to replace the pictures around the house of her and Simon. I'm not mad at it. I mean, again, we can feel how we feel about Porsha and Simon, how they got together, how they got divorced, who should have got the house, who the house belongs to, doesn't really matter. At the end of the day, we see that they're not together. Porsha's in the house. Simon is in Dubai. And if she wants to replace the pictures, I don't see nothing wrong with it. I don't think it's a big deal. Pilar didn't seem like she was feeling it. I don't know about y'all, but did y'all feel like Pilar was really feeling the photo shoot? And again, she's a kid. It could be something as simple as Porsha had to wake her up from her nap. You know what I mean? It could be something as simple as Pilar didn't like her hair, or she didn't like the dress, or her feet hurt. Like, she's a kid, so I'm not going to read too much into it, but she definitely didn't look like she was feeling that photo shoot, okay? Pilar seemed like she was over it. Now, the second half of this scene was with Lauren and Porsha talking about Porsha's love life that I don't care nothing about. She said Mike's been real busy, but he's still been, texting her and talking to her. They FaceTiming and stuff, but she's still dating Sway, and she just don't know where she wants to land on it. She talks about that Shamea invited her to the Halloween party, and she said something about getting a butt mold or whatever. And Porsha was like, girl, bye. Now listen, this is what I'm going to say about this. I see both sides of this coin. I already know what people are going to say. Why the fuck would Shamea invite Porsha to her house? Why would, what did she even expect the response to be? And then the flip side, I see both sides of the coin. At the end of the day, it was an all-cast event. Shamea had to invite Porsha. Let's just call a thing a thing. The party was already planned before they even went to Scotland. We didn't know what Scotland was going to bring. Shamea had to invite Porsha. Now, I would have been surprised if Porsha came, and I'm sure Shamea would have been surprised if Porsha came. And when I say she had to invite her, I know what people are going to be like, she didn't have to do nothing if she didn't want to do nothing. Well, that's what I mean when I say at this point, you either feel how you feel one way or the other. As it relates, and I know what people are going to be like, she didn't invite her to the birthday party. Okay. The birthday party was not a cast event. The birthday party was an event she was having that production said, we want to film. You got to invite some of the girls. Or Shamea might have even said, hey, do y'all want to come and bring the cameras? And production said, well, you got to invite some of the girls. If we're going to bring the cameras, it's got to be somebody there other than you and Gerald. And so that is why Shamea only invited who she wanted to invite, which is why Porsha didn't get an invitation and Drew didn't get an invitation. You know what I'm saying? This was an all-cast event. This was a finale event. This was, you know what I mean? So I see both sides of the coin. I understand people who are like, why would Shamea even invite Porsha? She already knew that wasn't going to fly. But I also understand the people on the other side who are like, girl, it's production. She had to invite Porsha. You know what I mean? I see both sides of that coin. Whatever it is, Porsha was still able to get her camera time. Right, because Porsha is the star of the show. People can say what they want to say, and I know everybody don't agree with it, but right now, Porsha is in charge of the girls. Like, and that's why I said it's easy for Porsha to be in the background puppeteering what's going on, because, listen, Porsha is the OG on this show. I know Phaedra is back, but Phaedra is giving us absolutely nothing. Cynthia is a friend of. Other than that, Drew is Drew. You know what I mean? I mean, again, Drew doesn't have a storyline this season either. Her biggest storyline was Black, and Child Sheening said that man's name since episode 4. You know what I mean? So Porsha is the star of the show. It just is what it is. We don't have to like it. People don't have to agree with it, but she is. So yeah, she's going to get her camera time. You know? You get the episode of 4. I'll give it a little bit higher than that. I mean, it's decent. It was a decent. I thought it was a decent episode, especially coming after the second cast trip. It's just not, they're tying everything up. So I think it was a decent episode with I thought it was a decent episode. So K Michelle meets with Shamea. And Shamea said, girl, look, I mean, they talk, they do all the little small talk, whatever. And Shamea said, hey, girl, look, I mean, K Michelle said, hey, girl, what's going on? Like, what was all that about in Scotland? Like, what made you really go there? Like, it just seemed like, first of all, you basically tell Porsha that Dennis has been sneaking Pilar over to the house to see you. She was like, you have to understand that would make Porsha angry and make Porsha feel some kind of way. Like, you have to understand that that's a problem. And you know what? And I've been saying Porsha has every right to want her child to be around people, to not want her child to be around anybody. That is her child. And Dennis should respect that. Full stop. I'm not defending any of that. Full stop. But that also made me feel like that was a bigger part of the conversation that we didn't see. That's how I feel. That was a bigger part of the conversation that we did not see. Because that's where, and then Shamea, and then she brought up the thing about the mothers. I believe Shamea is the puppeteer behind the show. They're always saying what she did behind the scenes. It just doesn't work out. Okay. I thought Cynthia told Porsha that. Told Porsha what? Yeah, SCK, me and you disagree, and that's fine. I don't think that Shamea, I understand what you're saying, and I don't disagree that Shamea was trying to do things off camera, but I wouldn't call that a puppeteer. A puppeteer is, in my opinion, is what I'm talking about. But they talked about it at dinner, Italia. That's what I'm saying. That's how the whole fight started between Shamea and Porsha, because Drew, again, based on the editing, because Drew said that, I was talking to Dennis. He really still loves you, Porsha. I really would love to see y'all try to work things out. And then Shamea said, well, since we're talking about Dennis, ... Then in Porsha's confessional, she said people had told her that Shamea was using Pilar as a flex. And that's when we saw the conversation where Cynthia told that to Porsha. But the conversation about it, that they had and that's what, and Natalia, that's my point exactly. That didn't come up from what we saw. Cynthia's conversation did not come up. But I feel like that was more of a conversation at the table that was just edited out. That's what I'm saying. So your point, you see what I'm saying? I'm glad you said that, really, because I didn't hear Shamea say Dennis had to sneak PJ over to her house. No, she said that Dennis has, because basically what she was saying is because Dennis and Gerald are still friends, that Dennis brings Pilar over, and that she's still been able to see Pilar. Cynthia was the one that called Porsha and made it seem like it was more to it than that. I think here's where I get frustrated with things. I hear you, Shamea. And I understand where Shamea is coming from. Shamea said, listen, when she was talking to K. Michelle, she didn't say anything we haven't already heard. She said, listen, Porsha and I agreed a long time ago that we would not allow our parents' friendship to or lack thereof to get in the middle of what we have going on. So number one, Porsha broke the code when she dropped the Instagram story last year about the daycare. Of course, the blogs picked it up. People made videos. It became a conversation. It sort of came up at the reunion, but both Shamea and Porsha didn't let it go further. They said, listen, that would be a point of no return for us. If we talked about the mamas, that would be the end of there would be no chance of a reconciliation. So both of them sort of walked it back. I feel like whatever that conversation was between Porsha and Shamea, that conversation they had before the season filmed, the text messages back and forth that Shamea said it got really nasty and it went really dark, and it really went there. I think that was the point of no return. Whatever happened in that conversation, I think Shamea knew at that point her and Porsha were never going to be friends again. I think Porsha at that point had made up her mind she didn't want to be Shamea's friend. Because let's be clear, Porsha made up her mind that relationship was over. That wasn't on Shamea. That was on Porsha. Please, let's be clear about that. If Porsha had called Shamea and said, hey, girl, let's talk, Shamea would have been at her house as fast as that Bentley could get her there. Let's be honest. Porsha was the one that said, I no longer desire to be a part of this friendship. That's how I feel about it. And that is why I think from that point forward, in my opinion, that is why I think that Shamea had that little tidbit locked and loaded, and she was ready to drop it as soon as she had the opportunity. It just so happened to be Scotland. I think if at any point in time this season, Porsha and Shamea had gotten into any sort of a disagreement / argument, I think Shamea would have dropped it. That's just my opinion. Up until that point, I can't remember, and y'all correct me if I'm wrong, but I cannot remember any point this season where Shamea and Porsha had a face-to-face disagreement. And I think that was the first opportunity that Shamea had to drop it, and I think she was ready to drop it. That's just what I think. I think she was ready to drop it at that point. Now, none of what I'm saying is justifying what she did, so please don't nobody twist my words and make it seem like I'm justifying the fact that she did it. None of what I'm saying is justifying what Shamea did, because I feel like because of, I feel like the argument had not elevated. Now, had her and Porsha continued to go back and forth and the argument got nasty and the argument got dirty, it might have been, but because it really did, from what we saw, it really did not seem like it was that deep. You know what I'm saying? For all of us, we were like, well, damn. You know, at the end of the day, I don't think it matters what's true or it's not anymore. It doesn't matter whether Porsha mama slept with Shamea's daddy. It doesn't matter whether Shamea's daddy slept with Shamea's uncle. The point is that it was said and it was nasty. You know what I mean? That it was said and it, oh, excuse me, hiccup, and it was nasty. Yeah, I believe that was the first time, at least that, oh Lord, I got the hiccups, y'all. That was the first time that we saw it. You know what I mean? So we'll get to it. K Michelle is working on her release party. I'm wondering if that's the season finale next week. I don't know. But she's working on her listening party. Drew is working on a new stage play with Pooch Hall from the game. She said, listen, I like Drew's new confessional with the dark hair. I like it. When I first saw it, I was like, oh, I didn't know how I felt about it because I think we've seen Drew and blonde and auburn and all these different colors for so long. But I like it. When I saw it this week, I was like, I like it. I do like it. My thing is Porsha has done nothing to Shamea this season. She tried to be cordial and inclusive, and Shamea took that and came for her unprovoked. Porsha did nothing to trigger that reaction. I don't have any. Also, I'm sorry. They don't have any disagreements. So she grabbed the opportunity when Dennis's name was mentioned regarding something else. Is what you do to your former friend on Mad Day. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm not, again, I'm not defending Shamea one way or the other. I'm not, I do not think. I agree. Porsha did not do anything to Shamea to her face. But I told y'all what I believe, and that's what I believe. And I know everybody don't believe that. I know a lot of people don't see it what I see, but that's what I believe, that Porsha was puppeteering from behind the scenes. But no, straightforward, absolutely not. You're right. Porsha didn't do nothing to Shamea to her face. Absolutely not. She did not. Porsha bought a house for her mama. Let me say something. I love this for Porsha. Let me be honest. Although Porsha in that damn BBL, I'm sorry, y'all. Some things Porsha wears that BBL don't look as big, but other things I'll be like, this checkered outfit she had on in this scene with her mama, baby, that BBL is BBLing. Okay, she looking like Cardi B booty in here. Exactly, Cameron. See, Cameron, me and you see it. Me and you see it, Cameron, but everybody don't see what we see, boo. Everybody don't see. Cameron says Shamea caught to the plot that they were icing her out. They sure were. Absolutely were. But anyway, we're going to keep it going. But I will say this. I will say this. I think, and this is just me, this is just my 2 cents. I think that house is big enough that I feel like, and maybe her mama didn't want to. I get that. Porsha mama might not have wanted to move in there with them. But that's one of those houses where you kind of have your own suite. You can, you know what I mean? You don't really have to be, like, you can come and go as you please. Like, Porsha's house is humongous. I don't even think Porsha had to do that. Porsha could have took the money that she made off that house and invested it, put it up for a rainy day, invested most of it, and her mama could be living on the other side of the house, and they could just put some rules in place to just put some boundaries in place to say, listen, you stay over there, and I'm gonna stay over here. Pilar can't just show up whenever she want to show up. She has to knock or ask to come over there first. I mean, that's just a big ass house. But again, that ain't my business. That ain't my business. So, but I love the fact that she did. She had to sell her mom's house, or she made a decision to sell the house. But I love the fact that she got her mom a new house, and it's free and clear. There is no mortgage. That's smart. So, um, that's true too, Cameron. Porsha probably ain't gonna be in that house much longer, but anyway. But anyway. Um that's why she can't get the doorbell fixed. You thought Miss Diane? No, they said she was dating somebody. I don't think she married him though. But what if Porsha can't keep that house and she bought her a cash house, and that was very sweet? No, ma'am. As a mother older than Diane, I want my own house. Okay, that's why I said maybe Diane didn't want to do it. I understand. I understand. Listen, I get it. I get it. I get it. All right, so let me tell you another issue I had, and again, maybe she did it off camera, and that's fine. But why you ain't checked Dennis? If you had such an issue with Dennis taking Pilar to go see Shamea, why you ain't checked Dennis? Why you have a conversation with Dennis and say, I mean, you could have filmed it and have a and again, we know that, but why you couldn't have a conversation with Dennis? And to me, that was a serious conversation, because who you take my child around when my child is with you and you are taking my child around people that I am not good with, and I don't feel like they mean me any good, and I found out that you're taking my child around them after I don't want them there, that's a conversation we need to have. And I feel like that's a conversation that they needed to have. But I find it interesting. That's like last year when she was mad at Drew, but she wasn't mad at she was mad at Dennis. I'm sorry, she was. Dennis just laughed at her ass. I'll take that back. She was mad at Dennis. I don't know. I just felt like I needed to see that conversation. And again, I'm not saying she didn't have it. I'm just saying I needed to see that conversation where she said, "Hey, Dennis, don't appreciate it. Don't want Pilar around. I'm no longer cool." And then even after Scotland, that's even more so the reason to be like, listen, it got real nasty in Scotland, and it started with you. And I don't ever want people that I don't fuck with to be in a position to use my child or even you as a weapon against me. That's not cool. And it went down a real nasty road, and it started there with you. You know what I'm saying? So that's his child too, though, and Dennis isn't going to allow anyone to mistreat PJ. It's not about it's not about PJ being mistreated. It's not about again. If it were a situation where Dennis was taking PJ around friends of Porsha that she was like, I never liked him. You know that when we were dating, he used to lie to me and cover up for you when you was in the streets. I don't like him. I'm not talking about that. If you really feel like that you and Shamea is such a nasty space, and when I say a conversation, I don't mean that Dennis has to do everything Porsha wants him to do. I mean, it's a conversation. She has every right to tell Dennis, listen, I don't want you to take Pilar around Gerald and Shamea and their girls. That doesn't mean Dennis has to do it, because you're absolutely correct. He's her father. And what happens when he has custody don't have shit to do with Porsha, and vice versa. Right. And again, I mean, I know we do a lot of speculating on what they air, what they don't air, what they edit, but I can only go by what they showed us. They ain't show it to us, so I can only assume a conversation wasn't had, because Porsha made it seem like the last time she talked to Dennis was when he brought the ring to the house. So, I mean, again, that doesn't mean that that's true. That's what she alluded to when she said, the last time I talked to Dennis, we argued about the ring. So, so we get to Shamea's Halloween party. Listen, it is what it is. It's a Halloween party. It looks really nice. Shamea and Gerald are avatars. Shamea's makeup looked really nice. Her costume was really cute. We have the rum bum bottle. She's doing tastings. She wants to get everybody's opinion. The drink of the night is the rum bum. All of the things. And again, we saw the conversation with her and the business owner, basically saying it's just a matter of them getting the contracts right. We read some things, we wanted to take some things out, put some things in. So, again, hope we can get that worked out great. Now K Michelle had told her she wasn't coming, but I knew K Michelle was coming because when I forgot who asked her was coming, and she said, "Well, I invited everybody. I invited everybody, but only one person is not coming," and she was like, "Porsha." So I was like, "Well, K Michelle told you she wasn't coming either." So I said, "Okay, they must have talked K Michelle into coming." The other thing was Shamea did tell K Michelle what Porsha's text response was, and then so that's, and the reason why I brought that up is because in a minute we're gonna talk about that. It's not her child, it's their child. Unless there's a danger, he can take his child with him to visit his friends. I agree, Tam. I'm not saying he has to listen to her, but what I am saying is, why didn't she have a conversation with him about how she felt about it? But he has a right to, yeah, absolutely. I agree. Um Dennis told Porsha he didn't want her having Mike and Sway around Pilar. She had to tell him that she was going to do it anyway, afford Porsha the same right. When you get time, who was that man in the black mask? I'm thinking it was Kelly's friend disguised as her new boo. Kelly said that's her boyfriend. Now I don't know who was really in that, but Kelly said that's her boyfriend, child. Dennis could feel disrespected with Portia's actions though, especially with PJ sitting in Simon's lap. Okay, well, listen. Shamea didn't just invite Porsha to the party. She also wanted her to do a mode. Oh yeah, we already talked about that. I didn't see. I didn't think that was a big deal with showing the text messages. I didn't think that was a big deal. Like she didn't. She didn't. Okay, to me that wasn't a big deal. She didn't show the text messages from the argument. She didn't show anybody those messages. I didn't think it was a big deal. She said, "Hey, I invited Porsha." Porsha basically told me, to kiss her ass, and this is what she said. I don't see what. I didn't think that was a big deal. And Porsha was like, "She read you the text messages. Oh my gosh, why would she do that?" It's not that big of a deal. Like, why? Why is it that big of a deal for somebody to repeat what you said it? I didn't see what the big deal was. Y'all not friends. Y'all not speaking. She invited you to the party. You told her basically to kiss your ass. I don't see what the big deal was in her reading the message. I just didn't see what the big deal was. Anyway, the text messages last season, yeah. Excuse me, y'all. I don't know why I keep yawning. I'm sorry. Now the text messages last season that was shown, that was a different conversation. But that one yesterday, that wasn't a big, to me, that wasn't a big deal. Um, but Shamea doesn't always do it. That's the point. Shamea hasn't shown anybody those text messages from the argument they had at the beginning of the season. Um, But yeah, now last season with her showing Brit, yeah, I agree with y'all on that one. All right, so while they're at the party, Porsha, Mike, K Michelle, and her husband, they go out on a double date bowling. Basically, I feel like this scene was just a double date. Mike is telling Porsha he loved her. Child, nobody believing that. And if you did believe it, Portia's response should have let you know abort mission, abort mission, abort mission. Abort mission, abort mission, abort mission. Abort mission. Because she couldn't even, you talking about something, you love her and all that. And she was like, oh, um, oh. Me either, half pin. We talked about that. Yeah, me either. Me either. Um, but that was pretty much that scene. Um, Honestly, I didn't really see too much more than that, other than Porsha and Kelly talking about, I mean, K Michelle talking about the Shamea thing, the text messages or whatever. So we get back to the party, and of course, everybody except for Porsha shows up. K Michelle eventually does show up with her husband. She's not in costume, but she shows up. Kelly shows up with her fake boyfriend. He won't take his helmet off. Kelly said, look, he don't want to hide his face. I want him to hide his face. I'm trying to protect him from my ex-husband, yada, yada, yada. Cynthia showed up as Elma's glue because she said she the glue that's keeping the group together. Girl, bye. You part of the reason why the group is fractured. But okay. Anyway. Drew shows up as Beyonce, Cowboy Carter. Girl, bye. I'm trying to think, who am I missing? Oh, Phaedra showed up as the Godfather. That was cute. Tongue in cheek. That was cute. That was cute. Angela shows up as a cop. Now, who else was there? Was George and Ashley. Shamea. I'm not mad at you. I'm not mad at you for saying, look, I'm gonna bring a live receipt. Oh, Pinky and her husband showed up as what them things called? Zombies. I'm not mad at you. I'm absolutely not mad at you for saying I'm gonna bring the human receipt. So basically, because I'm gonna just cut to the chase. Basically, Ashley said, look, Angela called me, asked me if I knew Shamea, and wanted some tea. Now, here's where I get pissed off. Y'all know how I feel about people pissing on my leg and telling me it's raining. Angela, you had already admitted when y'all were arguing that you asked the lady for some tea on Shamea. That's not new. You already admitted that you asked that. So for you to be like, but did I ask you for tea? Did I ask you for tea? And Ashley was like, girl, you asked me if I knew her and if I had any, yes, that's what you wanted. You absolutely wanted tea. Then George shows up and George is like, they asked George straight up, did you say that you were having an affair with Shamea? He said, absolutely not. He said, me and Shamea have never slept together. I never said we slept together. I never said we were having an affair. In my opinion, that's the end of the conversation. Because let me tell you why. Angela, that's exactly what you were alluding to. What I'm not getting ready to do is to get into this word salad with your ass. That is exactly what you were alluding to. You were alluding to the fact that George alluded to there being something nefarious going on between him and Shamea, and you deduced by that statement he made about the money that they must have had an affair. You even admitted that much in Scotland, that you were the one that said it. You didn't say that George said it. You didn't say that Ashley said it. You made up in your mind that Shamea had an affair with this man based off of this one little comment he made. And like he said, it was a tongue-in-cheek joke that I made at an event. First of all, the man was on a mic in front of the whole event. It wasn't like you had a one-on-one conversation with him and he was like, oh yeah, let me tell you, let me give you some tea. It was a one-on-one conversation. I mean, it was a conversation in front of everybody. Nobody else walked away with that opinion of what that man said but you. And she wants to stick to, but didn't you say that when you saw her, you had to pay her? Didn't you say that? Didn't you say that? Ma'am, it's not the words, it's the insinuation that you made. And you came right out and asked Angela, you asked Shamea, so weren't you sleeping with George? Didn't you have an affair with George? Stop playing with us. Kenneth, you want to believe Angela because I don't know what in the world made you believe Angela. But okay, child, I ain't about to argue with y'all tonight. If you believe Angela, go on and believe Angela. Angela's a fucking liar. Angela is a liar. How you feel? Okay, well, I ain't arguing with y'all. Y'all feel how y'all feel. Angela's a damn liar. You said that that woman was sleeping with that man. That man never said that. And he told you point blank, I'm not sleeping with her. And I never said I was. What I'm not getting ready to do is play this word salad. Well, didn't you say that when you saw her, you had to pay her? We never questioned that part. But the part we question is that you made the connection. They must be having an affair. Same thing about the people in the street saying that she was sleeping with all the Hawks players and all the Atlanta Falcons players. Who told you that? Well, I believe it. He shouldn't have said it from the jump. He shouldn't have said what he was making. Oh my God, y'all. Oh God, y'all wear me out. The man made a joke, y'all. It was a joke. People make jokes like that. It's just a joke. Man, yeah, the first time I met this woman right here, I knew I was going to have to pay her. He didn't say it in a nefarious way. Angela took it that way. The man didn't make it seem like that she was tricking. That ain't how he said it. It was a fucking joke. See, that's what I mean when I said at the beginning, either people feel one way or they feel one way, another way. It is a joke. It is so not that serious. People make jokes all the time. She worked for him. She said she did professional development for his company. She worked for him. Thank you. Angela knew the man was joking. It's not about Angela, in my opinion. Well, who was the one that repeated it was Angela. How was it not about Angela when Angela was the one that carried it all the way back to Scotland and turned it into Shamea is having an affair? Oh my God. All right. I'm not doing this with y'all. Y'all feel the way y'all feel. Y'all really be wearing me out with this shit sometimes. I swear y'all do. And I love y'all and I thank y'all for being here. But y'all be wearing me out with this shit. Angela just asked the question. Why would Angela ask that? Why would Angela ask that married woman if she was sleeping with that married man? Anyway, I'm moving right along. Because y'all feel the way y'all. That's why I say y'all feel the way y'all feel, and it is what it is. I do not feel like this vindicated Angela in any way, shape, or form. I feel like this confirmed what Shamea said in Scotland. Shamea's story ain't changed. And y'all always talk about somebody's story changing. Shamea's story ain't changed. Then they played the bum bum game. I kind of already talked about this at the beginning of my live, but for the people who weren't here, I thought that was a tasteless exercise. I didn't like it. I didn't like the fact that that they were in this party full of people that are not a part of the show, full of people that are like a part of Shamea's regular everyday life. And she had molds of their butts up there on stage, making the audience pick who they think the butt belonged to. I didn't like it. I didn't like it. I thought it was disrespectful, and I definitely didn't like when Kelly and Drew turned it into your butt is lopsided. Oh, your bad body. Like, why are we doing this? Why are we doing this? It's just I didn't like it. I did not like it. And I'm glad that Gerald interrupted it, even though what he interrupted it for was some bullshit, but let's talk about that. I like the fact that it was interrupted because I just didn't like it. I ain't like where it was going. I didn't think it was cute. And this is what I mean when I say that the Real Housewives of Atlanta always has to take things to a sexual place. I'm not a man by any stretch of the imagination, but if any one of those women were my wife or girlfriend, I would have not been cool with that. I just would not have been cool with that whole exercise. So Gerald comes in and says, ladies, I'm sorry I have to interrupt this, but I need to take the ladies somewhere with me. And we go outside. What's up, Ash Tuck? It's your birthday, y'all. Make sure everybody wish Ash Tuck a happy birthday, please. And thank you for being a member. Right. That's the thing. Like, all of y'all got work done. Some of them butts ain't even real. We're going to sit here and try to figure out whose butt is whose. Like, I hate it. So then we go outside and there's a horse there. The dude that was Drew's hairdresser's friend that she met at the skate party that she said she wasn't interested in, but she said she agreed to go out on a date, and I guess they were going to film it, but then he stood her up. He showed up with a horse for Drew. See, this went for all of the Drew stands. This is why y'all get mad at us, because there is no part of my body that believes that any of that was real. There is no part of my being that believes that man, first of all, if he knew that Drew was dressed up as Cowboy Carter, which is, I'm assuming, why he showed up with a horse, because he knew that Drew was dressed up as a cowgirl, why you ain't dressed up as a cowboy? Why you ain't keeping in theme? Why you dressed up like a gangster? You dressed up like you was supposed to be Phaedra's date, because you was dressed up like a whole gangster, like an Al Capone situation. Why you ain't dressed up as a cowboy if you was showing up with a motherfucking horse? And what the fuck were we supposed to do with a horse? Like, you didn't put her on the horse and take her away. Like, you did. What were we supposed to do with that? What was Drew supposed to do with that? Let's assume it was real. Let's walk down that road, y'all, that this was real. What in the entire fuck was Drew supposed to do with a horse? Was that your way of making up for leaving her high and dry, for embarrassing her on camera? Because again, it looked like they filmed it and you didn't show up. That's what it looked like happened. So was that supposed to make up for the embarrassment of, because let's be clear, production could have decided to air that day, and then Drew would have been embarrassed because she would have had a whole scene of being stood up by a dude she wasn't even interested in to begin with. That would have been embarrassing as hell. I don't understand it either, baby. This Mick, what's it? This Mick BMG. I don't understand either. What were we supposed to do with a horse? What were we supposed to do with a horse? What was Drew supposed to do with a horse? And why would you bring a horse to somebody's house? And how did you get on her property with a horse? Like, it's so many questions. How did you get on that woman's property with a horse? No saddle. That was just stupid to me. Just dumb. But y'all, that was pretty much the episode. That was the episode. Tomorrow's the Whether You Like It or Not panel. We should be on Scotty's channel tomorrow because Busy hosted last week, so that starts the rotation over. So it'll be Scotty, then T, and then if we get a 3-part reunion, ooh, that leaves somebody odd man out. It usually ends up a perfect rotation. But if we do a reunion looks live, maybe that could be on that person's channel. But with that being said, y'all, that's all I have. Tomorrow morning on the main channel, before I go out, maybe we can break down this Mark Lamont Hill interview with this president of this school that gave Dr. Cheyenne Bryant. I'm sorry, I'm gonna stop calling that woman doctor. That gave Cheyenne Bryant her fake doctorate. Baby, we're gonna laugh. We're gonna have a good we're gonna have a good kiki, honey. We're gonna have a good kiki. Anyway, y'all. With that being said, I will see y'all tomorrow. Mwah. Peace.